listen to
This is a brave man.
Inside SA Soccer with Brad Jakes, exclusive to Omnisport, where Africa comes to play.
Now that's a garage match.
Listen live now and on demand at omniaudio.africa.
Good morning and welcome to Inside SA Soccer with me, Brad Jakes, on Omnisport. It's my favorite day of the week. It's Thursday, blast from the past, and I have with me a very special player today, Mandla Zwane. Mandla Zwane is one of those, I think, very underrated players in South Africa. Not many people speak about him, but when you look at his CV, you realize that this man has really achieved a lot of things. We will talk about that in a moment. Mandla, good morning, and thank you so much for making time for me, Mebara.
Good morning, Brajay,
Yeah.
and good morning to the listeners and viewers at home. Thank you for inviting me.
Sure. You are dressed like a Buccaneer, the Masters, it says your T-shirt. You're still a member of the Pirates Masters?
Yes, I'm a proud member of the Masters, and one of the reasons why I'm dressed up like this, I'm from a school called Redham, Bedford View. I had to go and do motivational talking to the learners, so that's why I'm like this. So they told me to wear a T-shirt of my former club, and of which at Pirates as Masters, as you see the brand, we've always been taken care of.
They
So
say
hence,
once,
yeah.
apparently they say once a Buccaneer, always a Buccaneer.
Always most.
Yeah. You grew up there. It's the club where it all started for you. How was your time there as a youngster? Because you started there as a youngster.
Well, my time was good because the way it happened is like a roller coaster ride, because of our coach was one person who was coaching under 14, under 16, under 18, and under 21, but we were training on different days. So he saw what I was doing at the age of 4. When I joined Pirates in '87, I was 14 years by the time. Then within 2 weeks, he told me to come train with the under 16 the following day, which we were training on a Monday.
Yeah.
Under 16, under 18, a little bit of reserve, they were training on the Tuesday. So we were training like my age group. We were training Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So the seniors were training Tuesday, Thursday, just like that.
Yeah.
So, that's how it
And they
started.
saw the talent and they just kept moving you up.
Ish, my bra. It's like I never had rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Monday to Sunday I was on the sports field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Saturday we played the league match then at Nike Center in Pinville.
Yeah.
Before Nike Center, what it is today.
Before it became
We used to
what it
play
is.
the league matches there, and then the next day our under 16 or under 21 they are playing. Then I have to report on a Sunday. So I had a busy week. So that means part of our development was somehow measured well, but at the same time fast tracking. I don't know how to put it into layman's term, but it's like being fast track because I played almost 3 to 4 divisions at the age of 15.
In 1 year, yeah.
14 years in 1 year.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Look, I look at you and, you as I say, very underrated, because you say Mandla Zwane, not many people immediately remember you. But your career is you are so decorated. What fascinates me about you is you were one of those early players. I mean, we know Lucas Radebe and them, that generation that went to Leeds, the group that went to take Ibufani and them are the initial guys to go overseas. But you were like of your age group, one of the first to go out. When people say Porto and South Africa, the first thing that will come to mind is Benny McCarthy, because he won. Yeah. He won the European Champions League. Yeah. But you played at Porto. You played under the great Bobby Robson. I mean, how did that happen?
It's a long story.
Let's share. We've got all time. Yeah.
But I'll try to be precise. What happened was in '93. Remember, we were not outside of FIFA because of the ban and stuff like that. So when we were introduced back into FIFA, then now it happened that we started the under 20s.
Oh yeah, the national team.
National team, yes.
That one.
Palacios, Professor Palacios, Brashakes Mashaba, Phil Sitsedi, may his soul rest in peace.
Yeah.
So they conducted trials. At that time, I was still playing for the under-19 at Pirates in 93 years. So I went there for trial. I registered a name.
Yeah.
So actually, I made sure that I was the first one together, myself and my friend Ulisinyeho, Peter S. Chakere, who stays in White City.
Okay.
So, because we were same team, I was his captain, so I said, hey, let's go for trial. Then we went there. And then at the stadium, we tried, they look at the names. Okay, Olrando Pirates, okay, we want to see him. Wow. Luckily, I impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. Then it happened, the very same 93, there was a Nations Cup. And then Zambian players, they made their soul rest in peace. They had a plane crash.
Died, yes.
So we couldn't go play that Nations Cup for the under-20s or something. Okay. Then the following year, January, we were training for United Bank or something. Yeah, United Bank.
I remember United Bank sponsored that Four Nations thing and on there.
So there's a guy, Marcelo Houseman. Of course, I know him.
Yeah, he was a big agent back then in the 90s.
You know the story.
I know him.
So he came up to me and said, listen, would you be interested in me being your agent? I'll take you overseas. I was like, okay. Now, whatever I've been dreaming and watching when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, watching European football, that my dream is going to become a reality now.
Wait, so before this happened, you had already had ideas of European football. I mean, as you say, we were not part of FIFA. Yeah. We came back 92. Yeah. You were watching European football as a youngster.
Remember, there's this program called Pop TV.
Yeah.
It used to show highlights of European football. And mind you, I was staying in the squatter camp, right? I didn't have TV, but I made a point that I watched football from 8 o'clock at night on Sunday until 9 o'clock. So in that house, they allowed me because I used to help them, the grandmother, to clean this yard, to clean her yard, to go buy food for her, groceries and stock, because he was also selling alcohol. So he used to send me, hey, go buy a case of beers for me, then for her to sell to her customers. So I used to do that. So she gave me that freedom to say, you can watch TV. All that I wanted was 9 o'clock, for the clock to strike 9 o'clock for me to switch to Pop TV. I was watching European football from Pop TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back then, I mean, which leagues were big?
Italian soccer was because all the roundup, it had a feature match of Italian soccer, football. Italian teams, whether it be Juventus against Sampdoria, AC Milan, your Inter, and your Lazio, Parma, all those teams.
You watched Roberto Baggio.
Exactly. And again, a little bit of English soccer, Portuguese soccer. Maybe, for example, Porto is playing Benfica or Sporting.
So this then makes you aspire to want to go there one day?
Definitely. There's no way I wouldn't want to be.
Yeah.
There's no way I wouldn't be inspired.
About it, though? I mean, you're playing here at home. Back then, Chiefs, Pirates are the big fishes here. What inspired you? What impressed you about what you were seeing for European football to make you want to go there?
Look, our season, we seldom play under rain.
Okay, yes.
You understand? So when players score and celebrate, they run and kneel down and slide. I was like, wow, the pitches are beautiful.
Okay.
Wow, they can do that. I just hope one day I'll be part of that.
Yeah.
Then when Marcelo
comes
said that, now I'm like, okay.
You are how old now? 19? Around 19?
Yeah, I was 19, 10, 20 in 93.
Yeah.
I was born in 73. So now, before that, my dad used to play for African Wanderers though. Let me just put it this way. Yeah, I used to play for African Wanderers back in the day. I was still young at the time. Okay. So I didn't know. I was just told by, the neighbors. Yeah. So I used to say, if I have a machine to raise my two boys, because even my big brother, we used to play together at Pirates development team. So if I've got a machine to raise my two boys, I'll make money. That's what he said. But to me, I was just playing for fun and for love of the game because that's what kept us as boys, out of the street. Because of, when schools were closed from 9 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, we are out playing amateur islands.
Yeah, sure.
So that's where our development was. So coming back to your question, that's what inspired me. Like, oh wow, they're doing it nice. I wish to see myself there one day.
And Marcelo then comes along and sort of makes this dream come true.
You know, he did that in January. He called me, then he said, arrange a passport. I did arrange a passport. And then 2 months later, you know, there was no cell phone. He was phoning in the house where I used to, rent. Then they say, no, he's out. Then tell him, when he comes back, please, he mustn't go. I want to speak to him.
Yeah.
Then you'll phone again around 7, 8. Around that time, I'm in the house because
Yeah.
I cannot go out at night. So I'll pick up the phone. Then that's when he broke the news to say, hey, listen, there's a trial in Feyenoord,
In Holland, yes.
in Holland. It's yourself, Ernest Shirwali, 18 in Zunda from South Africa, you are going.
Yeah.
Wow, I celebrated. I screamed. In the house, they were like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, hey, you don't know, you don't understand. You don't know, you don't understand. That time, my parents and my family they were in Zola because that's where we separated because of I needed to be closer to where Pirates was training. Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't tell my dad that day because there was no phone anyway.
Yeah.
So I was celebrating in the house. So they were like, okay, are you mad? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Anyway,
Get it.
I'll explain to you.
Yeah.
And then, boom, that trip came. Then now we had to go to the airport. And my guy, there was no Uber Pela by then.
No. Yeah, no. And you don't have a car, so you have to what? How do you do it?
Luckily, I was playing for the squad in White City, Jabav.
Okay.
Right? The coach is there. One of the coaches had a car.
Okay.
And one of the guys,
Yeah,
he also had a car, but he was going to be late to take me to the airport. So one of the coaches, Utifa, Ushalema 6 White City.
Okay.
He offered. I know it's an opportunity.
It's a big opportunity. I have to. Yeah.
I will take you there. I was happy. Then I packed my stuff. Off we go to Holland. Oh, go to the airport. Airport is NST, no 18 in Zunda. At least it was better because of his people that
People
I know.
you know.
And in Zunda I'm with at Pirates. You understand? That time I was just a professional by then.
Yeah.
So that's how the trip came about. Then we went to Holland. We trained. First time seeing snow live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
I
have
said
to play on it.
I had to play on it. Ngephuma Jomo Sono King.
Yeah, of course. The boot of choice back then.
You know. I said, let's train. 2 days later, I arranged a friendly game. On that friendly game, the Dutch players about Reggie Blinker, Nabo Eddie Goeie. Okay, the coach brought in Reggie Blinker, Lucas Torment, no Henrik Lassen from Sweden. Yes, he started there. I was with him. So we played. We did a training session, tactical session.
Yeah.
And the coach showed us what he wants us to do.
Yeah.
And then the next day, we had a game. We had that moment that we were practicing. And I played a pass, the pass that NS Rawali is known by in South Africa, the outside pass.
Yeah.
We scored. The fullback crossed the ball, like the center back played the ball to the striker. Striker, like I went to collect, but because we were doing it the day before, I went to collect. They bypassed me. They chipped the ball to the striker. I peeled off, and then he set it up. The left wing attacked in. The fullback overlapped by just outside of my foot, and then he received it on the other side. Then he crossed, and then we scored. Wow. Okay. We played. Killer pass, final ball, another goal. Second half, solo run.
On
They
the
were
left.
playing, yes, on the left.
Of course.
Left
Where
winger,
else?
not left winger.
Yeah.
I received the ball, I did a dummy, I pushed the ball, I pretended as if I'm going to pass Reggie Blinker. The right back moved to the left, to the right, to my left, which is to his right. And then I pushed the ball forward. I saw the keeper coming. I said, okay, good. What came after that was like, okay, I stopped, literally stopped. Right on the edge of the big box. He was approaching, I just lobbed the ball over his head. The ball just rolled into the net. Then after the game, the manager, the coach, everyone who was watching the game, they were like, wow.
This kid.
The legend himself, Enes Shirwali. He said, "Hey boy, usha ukhipha amaphasami." I've seen you play while you were still playing for Bloemfontein Celtics.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I'm seeing you at Sundowns.
Yeah.
I've been watching your game. So I've been seeing what you are doing.
Yeah.
So if I've seen it
learned.
from the master, I have to show the
best.
master that I've learned something from you. I mean, it's a skill that got transferred indirect.
Yeah, sure.
Do you understand?
Yeah,
So that's what happened. He was like, boy, no. You don't deserve to sit on the bench at Paris because I see you from time to time on the bench. I said, but look, I'm waiting for my chance.
Yeah.
Because, again, remember, at Paris that time, we had the late Nick Sishweni, the late Potsato Makanya,
Yeah.
Debochom Mloy, Bashir Mahlangu, Max Maponyane, Etienne Nsunda,
Legends of the
Kwan.
game, brother. You had to just look and learn.
Do you see the names that
Yeah,
I've just
no,
mentioned?
no, I get it.
So there was no way a youngster can just come in willy-nilly.
You bide your time.
Exactly. Though there were other experienced players that are found in the first team, but I was always in the 18 that is traveling. Which was maybe a grace from God, or a blessings from God for me to be in and around, in and amongst those legends. I mean, sure. If you talk about those names, you get goosebumps.
Goosebumps. No, I mean, it's just.
But at the same time, for me, it wasn't much of a culture shock. Because I remember, I'm just going to take you back a little while.
Yeah.
I remember in 1988, Chiefs Pirates Pop Safe final replay, Ellis Park.
Remember that.
We were curtain raising.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so you guys were groomed.
It was Chiefs and Pirates juniors, under
yeah.
14.
No, I remember
Sorry,
that's
under 15.
That's how it used to be.
That's
in the
how
past.
it used to be.
And as youngsters, then the
They
stage
get to
doesn't.
see you. Yes, the stage doesn't.
The stage fright is no longer there because you're used
so
to.
that is why sometimes when I hear people saying, "Hey, I was shaken. I had some goosebumps in the stomach." I'm like, okay,
But
I understood, but me, hence I'm saying everything
Things have
just
changed,
developed in such a way that
you were ready for this.
by the
Everything
time
made you
that
ready.
opportunity came, I was already ready to grab it with both hands. Yeah.
So now you impress the way you did at Feyenoord. Do they sign you? Because I don't see you playing for Feyenoord. What happens after they get so impressed and then what?
Remember the late Bobby Robson, may his soul rest in peace.
Yes. The great
He
England
once
manager.
coached PSV and Eindhoven, right? So he had scouts there.
So when you
Now
guys
the
were
plot
playing,
thickens now.
I can,
While I played that friendly game, there were people watching the game at the Cape Stadium, the Feyenoord Stadium, the Cape, yes.
So
the Cape.
Feyenoord are looking at you, but then there are others who are looking at
No,
you.
supporters, you remember they announced that this one will be friendly, wada. But in Europe, football is like religion. And even the training at Porto, I'm going to go back to that one. You find almost 3,000 people coming to watch training session. Do you understand?
Different, yeah.
It's different than here. So there were people who were watching the game, right? So it's obviously PSV is a big club in Feyenoord, and Bobby Robson coached in Holland. Yeah. So he might have gotten a call from one of the scouts and say, hey, there's a player that Feyenoord is about to sign. Is from South Africa. Please make sure that you get hold of that. He's playing for a club called Olrando Pirates.
At the time, Bobby Robson is coaching where?
At that time, Bobby Robson is coaching Porto.
Okay. In Portugal.
In Portugal.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think he was coaching Porto, or he just left Sporting Lisbon to go coach Porto that season, or not. I don't know, because I remember by the time I went to Portugal, our season was not the same. It was like, from our season was February to
we ran,
December, yes.
On
Our
the
season,
calendar.
which starts August to May. So
okay.
that's how it happened. So I guess they might have told him that, hey, please just make sure that you get this player.
guy.
Yeah.
And you go to, how was the Porto experience? I mean, also, what does Marcelo say to you? Because you've trialed at Feyenoord, but suddenly you find yourself having to go to Porto.
My brother, Brachix, certain things you don't have control over.
Yeah.
All that I wanted to do was to see myself playing overseas, where I didn't care.
Yeah.
Where even if it was Russia or Bulgaria or one of the Scandinavian countries, Sweden, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded because of all I wanted to see was to see myself in Europe. Right? So Marcelo didn't say much up until The only thing that he said is that, hey, boy, you did well. They are interested in you. So it looks like we want to come back here.
Yeah.
So we came back a week before the elections in South Africa, the democratic elections in 94. And then after that, I voted because I already had an ID.
Nice. Yeah.
So then US 94 started.
The World Cup. Oh,
The
yes,
World Cup.
in June.
Yes, in June. After the World Cup, wow. Or just before the World Cup ended, I got a call from Marcelo. Hey, boy, listen up.
From who?
From Marcelo.
Okay.
Whether he came to training at Megawatt Park or what, I don't remember. But I remember him seeing him to say, hey, prepare yourself. We are going. I was like, yeah, good shot.
Yeah.
We're going back there. I said, no. I said, where? He said, don't worry. I said, oh, okay, fine. When I saw my ticket, it written TAP, TAP, which is Portuguese airline.
Okay.
Portugal.
How so?
Okay. It's okay. Doesn't matter as long as it's Euro. So upon my arrival, actually, we were supposed to connect from Lisbon to Porto. Unfortunately, fortunately, because of Porto was going for a pre-season training in England.
Oh, okay.
That morning, or maybe mid-morning, around about 11 or 12. So they sent a guy, because of he had our itinerary, they sent a guy to drive from Porto to Lisbon, which is about Joburg to Durban, Johannesburg, 3-hour drive. When we got there, we see an old man with bald head carrying our names, myself and Sunda. I'm like,
oh, you were with Etienne and Sunda?
Yeah, myself and Etienne. This guy, he's got our names, written. We're like, oh, okay. When you meet someone at the airport that you don't know, that's what happened. So, okay, we said, okay, let's go to him. They know him because he's a football person, so they've got that free pass.
Yes.
So he took us, he said, Mandela, you call me Mandela.
Yeah,
Mandela and Nsunda. I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then he said, no, come with me.
Yeah.
Okay, what about our luggage? Don't worry about luggage. Come with me. You already organized even the luggage to take out from the airplane for the transit.
Yeah, sure.
Take it out from it to his car. By the time we go to the car, everything is sorted. We drove 3 hours. Right? Upon our arrival, there must have been about 5,000 to 7,000 people waiting for me and Etienne. When we got there, we were taken into the change room. They took
This is Porto.
This is Porto now. Blood test, signing contract. I don't even know.
What you're signing? Where's Marcelo? Marcelo didn't go with.
It was not there.
Yeah.
They arranged everything. Because remember, they've been there before us, so they know how to operate.
Yeah.
So we said, Asinatura aqui, that's just Portuguese. Asinatura aqui, means sign here, sign here, sign here, sign here.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sign From there, what shoe size? 7. Tracksuit, small. They brought everything. Soccer boots, but I must have gotten 2 stars. 2 stars, 1 rubber. Tracksuits, t-shirts, in the bag. By the time we came out, the bus was ready, waiting for me and Etienne to board the bus to the airport, England for pre-season. Yeah.
It's fascinating. And then you play, how was it playing for Bobby Robson? Jose Mourinho was the translator there.
He was a coach. Let me give him that. He was a coach because he had some ideas about football.
Bobby?
Jose Mourinho. Yes, he was helping Bobby Robson in terms of language, but he was also involved in coaching as well. Yeah, so I'm not surprised to see him where he is today. So because of you could see back then that he's got something.
And Bobby Robson, he's a legend. Legend of.
What can I say about? He coached 2 World Cups, and he coached top players. One of the things that he said was emphasizing on to say, be confident. Luckily, I didn't wait for a translation at that time. Because when he speaks, I could pick it up straight away. Yeah. So, but what a gentleman, what a man.
How was your time at Porto? You played there for How many years? How long?
I was there for 2 years, but then now there was a situation where, okay, let me just paint a picture for you. Porto in the north, it's like
The north of Portugal.
north of Portugal. It's like Limpopo and Johannesburg,
Okay. So
geographically.
yeah.
Okay, so Porto in the north is dominant, right? Majority of the clubs, your FC Braga, your Gil Vicente, Penafiel, Salgueiros, I forgot the other,
Yeah.
not Portimonense. The one that I think Brajan Malomboli Chaba used to play for. Peramar.
Yeah, I know he went there.
Yeah. They are dominant. So most of the club, when they need players and when they need coaches, they go to Porto.
Because Porto what produces a lot of
Produces a lot. It sells even coaches. You know the
Yeah.
history of Porto. They sold Villas Boas just now,
Yeah,
recently. Nuno Gomez, the one who's at Nottingham Forest.
academy. It's a proper academy for every players and coaches. Yeah.
You know, so when players retire, if they pursue coaching, they start with their development, under 13, under 15, under 17, you know, they progress
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the structure. So this is like the conveyor belt is always working.
Yeah,
There's
okay.
no stop.
Yeah,
IJME.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, it keeps-
So what happened was there was a team called Penafiel that one of the coaches was a close friend of one of the directors with Porto. Then they saw us playing and training with Porto first team. Then they wanted us to help because they were fighting relegation.
Okay.
And then now the sad part is that when he came, it was at the time that Etienne Nsunda was just registered. Because remember, we were about 9 foreign players in Porto and only 6 are registered.
Oh.
So we had Aloysio from Brazil, Zé Carlos from Brazil, Emerson, remember the one who played for Middlesbrough? We had Ulatapi from Trinidad and Tobago, we had Ubarone from Peru, we had Waltapas from Argentina, we had Kulukov, Noyuran from Russia, and Kostadinov, he just left.
Okay, for Bulgaria.
So myself and Etienne from Africa. So out of those 9 players,
only 6 can play.
only 6 can be registered.
Registered. Okay.
Yeah. So 2 players from Brazil, they were going to get citizenship. That's when they want to be registered. Okay. I remember because of Etienne, when Porto played Benfica, he was in the selection.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to Stadio da Luz. Anyway, I did play in that stadium
Okay.
against Benfica.
Playing for Penafiel.
No, Gil Vicente in the Premier League. Now, Penafiel is an NFD team of some sort.
Okay.
Then Gil Vicente is a Premier
in
League.
the Premier League.
So, but I did play against Benfica. Yo, Michel Pridome, Valdo, Isaias, Muse from Brazil. You know, even the top players from Portugal. Who's his name? Joao Pinto,
Joao
the short
Pinto.
guy.
You played with
yes,
him,
I
okay.
played against him. Yes, I gave him a run for their money.
Yeah, yeah.
Valdo came up to me and said, "Hey boy, where are you?" They passed me the ball. He came running. I controlled. He came and just
Flipped the ball.
as short as he was, he went underneath the ball. So after the game, he came up to me and said, "Where are you from?"
Yeah.
I said, "No, I'm from South Africa." I said, "Oh, okay, no
Yeah.
good." But unfortunately, our team lost. No,
Okay,
Gil
but-
Vicente.
but
But
you played there,
I
you
did.
played.
I did give a good account of myself
Yeah.
on that game. Yeah.
I mean, so you played there. I also know which I find fascinating that you played in Malaysia.
Yeah.
I mean, when did that happen, and how do you end up in Malaysia back in there? I mean, who plays football in Malaysia?
Okay, it's like this. I wouldn't have gone there had it been not that Upobi Robson left Porto. He went for Barcelona, and they wanted to take me with. Unfortunately,
For real?
yes. Unfortunately, at that time, I already exceeded the under 20 age difference because of what he wanted to do was he was going to take me,
As a developer.
put me as a B team. After a while, he brings me to the senior team. And you know, Barcelona buys.
But you could have
big
played
players.
at Barcelona for Bobby
Yes.
Robson.
Yes.
Should have
Yes.
changed your age, man. Hey, why did
No,
you?
no.
You lived in those days. You had
No,
age.
no, I
Everybody-
did. Remember.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
People have changed their age. I know it's wrong, but I'm like, here's an
No,
opportunity.
let me tell you a story because of something like that happened. It did happen, but I didn't take it because of, remember, when I was playing for Pirates Juniors, I was the captain. I told my coach, because there's a tournament called Caltex Calls.
Yeah, I remember.
where your
I
Themba
played in the
Mnguni,
calls, I know.
You name of McFish and them
course.
Godfrey Sapula
Yeah,
and others on. In 92, I was 19. Right? And it's under 19.
Yeah,
Then I said to the coach, hey, next year I'm not eligible to play.
in the calls.
Okay? In a way, I was saying to him, do something, put me up to the first team.
Yeah,
Even though I didn't say it directly,
Yeah.
but I was saying, hey, next year I'm not available.
yeah.
But captain, how can you say, but coach, I'm 19 this year. This is under 19. Next year I'm 20.
Next year I'm over this.
So there's no way I could. You understand?
Yeah,
He had some terrible time adjusting to that. Because, okay, let me take you back a little bit. At Pirates, each year, we used to have a new team all the time.
okay.
I used to adjust it to new players all the time. I was like one of the longest serving member who under 19.
Stay, okay.
Who youth development in
Yes,
Pirates.
yes.
Yeah, just like that. So he had a problem because of how is he going to replace me?
Yeah.
So I was scoring goals. I was creating
Yeah,
exactly what Messi does.
Yeah.
Scoring, create, score. If I don't score, I create.
Yeah,
Bruce Ramukadi, McDonald Mukansi, Noti Mukwena, they know.
all new for you.
We played together in the same team anyway. So they knew that if I don't score, I pass them to score.
Yeah.
Mukansi, I remember we played Caltex, we played Swallows at Ellis Park. We gave them 9. Mukansi scored about 5 goals. 4 of those goals came from me.
Yeah.
And then I scored 1 or 2 if I remember, my memory serves me well. Unfortunately, that game was it was on TV because I remember one of my teachers, because they used to show it a week later.
Yeah, I remember.
I was surprised at school. My teacher says to me, "Are you the one that I saw on TV playing football?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, yes,
Yeah,
ma'am."
yeah.
And then you left it at that. So, yeah, I would have played for Barcelona.
So at Pirates, but they didn't change your age.
No.
Okay.
I didn't want that to happen.
You
No,
didn't,
I,
yeah.
I refused. I refused.
Yeah, I know.
I refused. I
happened with
didn't.
it. So then, why was Bobby Robson so impressed with you? Because I'm trying to understand. Did you get to play for Porto some matches under him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I played mostly friendly matches, competitive friendly matches, and I was chipping in a goal. I was playing, passing, attacking, defending. Because at some point, he even said, "Wow, he can even defend," which is a plus for a player who's more technical.
Yeah.
You know, because usually players who are more technical, defending
don't.
defensive duties, they don't do that much. But I was tackling.
Yeah.
So he was impressed with that because you know, as an Englishman, you
Yeah,
must,
no, he
you
wants,
must get
of
stuck.
course.
So, yeah.
So you didn't go to Barcelona with him.
Yes.
What happens when your spell in Portugal happens? Do you go straight to Malaysia, or what happened there?
Yeah, what happened was I still had a year contract to run. So I was like, "Ish, you know, man, when you feel that this is not right, what is happening? I can withstand certain things, but certain things that you wouldn't, like, for example, discriminated against.
Okay.
You know, so I like, ish, these few teams that I've been to, hey, you feel like, you know what, ish, you are a foreigner.
Yeah.
Especially from Africa, you are a foreigner. You know, so it's like, you know what, if this person goes, what are the chances of me staying?
Yeah.
You know, even going back to Porto, because I was out on loan elsewhere
Yes.
with Gil Vicente.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, I spoke to Marcelo. He said, "Look, there's a team in Malaysia. If you're interested, go try. If you're interested, yeah. Luckily, I'm an open-minded person. I was like, oh, okay. I'll be the first one anyway to go play from my country. So I was always
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's how the deal came about. So I went to Singapore first. I met the people. Then, in a way, they made me to play a friendly game. So I scored about 2 or 3 goals. I created another 2 in a friendly. Then they were impressed. And then I came back to Johannesburg around September, October. And then January, I went to Malaysia 97. Yeah. There I played, I scored. I played with Tony Cote from Leicester. Okay. Yes, I used to supply him with goals at one. He scored about 8 goals from me. So by the time I left, he had scored about 13, 14 goals. The season was not finished yet, but
But you won something.
I won a cup. Yes, I won a trophy there in Malaysia. I think in one of my Instagram profile picture.
Yeah.
You see me.
Holding the trophy there.
Exactly.
Must have been nice to win something in a. I mean, football in Malaysia. We don't think. You think Malaysia, you don't even think football.
Look, I think it's what our country has been, because we were never open to these kind of countries. We didn't know much about the world, and the world didn't know much about us. So yeah, it's a perception.
Yeah,
nothing else.
Okay.
You know, because football is everywhere.
It's true.
Everywhere. Football is everywhere. I mean, FIFA is how many members? 200 and something members. They all play
almost
football.
The whole world.
Yes.
Now, so what leads you to retiring? Why did you stop? What happened?
That's $1 million question. But the answer is the same to all of us, or all the guys that you maybe you did interview with. Look, it's something that is inevitable.
Of course.
You have to understand it. It's going to come. But the manner in which it happens, sometimes it leaves sour taste in our mouths. You understand? Because then now, once you reach the age of 33, 34, when your contract's about to run out, the club doesn't talk to you. Yeah. And you are left on your own. So you must find your way. You phone clubs. Yes, others will accept you. Others will say, how much are you earning?
Yeah.
Hey, this guy is from SuperSport. Hey, he's earning a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what is a lot of money? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are the questions. So I retired when I was 35 years old. And in 2008. Yeah. So, yeah, that's when I retired.
But when you look back at your career, are you content?
Yes. Yes, I don't have comms. I did what I wanted to do, go play overseas. I represented my country except the under 17 at all levels. So I played in Africa Champions League with SuperSport. I played Africa Confederations Cup with Pirates. I played Africa with SuperSport. So I've accomplished. Yeah. Yes, I don't have qualms. I don't have bitterness in terms of playing. Yes, I'm cool.
You're good. It's always good, because too often you hear players, I regret this, but you lived your dreams.
No, I lived my dream. I lived my dad's dream and my dream. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he wanted me to play professional football.
Is he still around? Was he proud of you when you did well?
No, yes, he was proud, but he's no longer around. He was proud because at some point, to tell you the story, my dad is so strange. My dad I think he only watched me play maybe under 5 games.
Why is that? He didn't come to the matches? Or?
No, he said, I know my boy. I don't have to go watch him and to tell him his weaknesses. Maybe that's what he had in mind, because he trusted me to the point that each time he would ask, how many goals did you score?
Okay. And
myself and my brother, we were competing. If he scored 3, I score 4. If I score 4, he scored 5.
Yeah.
So each time when you say you scored 2, he said, no, that's not enough. From the midfield, he said, no, not enough. You must score more. Because of he foresaw the future before we even realized it. Because of he could tell people that my boy will become a professional football player.
That's beautiful.
You know, so when some people, when they tell me that your dad was here, I was like, oh, okay. He said, after you scored a goal, he left. Yeah. Okay. That's how confident he was in my abilities as a football player. You know? So for me, that was more than enough. And again, remember, we were never motivated by our parents being at the
back
field.
then, during that
supporters
age.
Themselves, they are the ones that push you.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. I remember at some point in Zola, there was a guy by the name of Tiger. He bought me a new pair of boots. In the early 80s, I was still 12, 13. Yeah. I was the only one with the new boots. The rest were playing torn boots or techies. But I was the one with the pair of boots.
He saw your potential.
So luckily, I had a chat with him last night. Yes. I had a chat with him last night. And I was looking for him all these days. They told me that he's no longer there. I used to ask my uncle, hey man, where is this man? He says, no, I think he's moved to where, I don't know. But when he got my numbers, he told me that he saw my younger brother. He asked for my number, and my younger brother gave it to him. My younger brother was skeptical a little bit, but
Yeah,
he told him that, no man, tell him that he's Tiger from Ezola. I'm like, when he told me, I'm like, oh, okay, I remember the name. I've been looking for that guy.
It's nice.
Luckily, he got hold of me. Then we had a chat, I think about a month ago, after so many years.
That's beautiful.
So now I want to return the favor. He's got a boy that is playing, but he's in Mpumalanga, so he wants me to help him. So I said to him, listen, I'll return the favor. And I don't forget what you did for me. Because of those soccer boots, maybe to be noticed.
Yes.
Because of the very same soccer boots, we moved from Ezola to Mfulo.
Okay.
I used those soccer boots to get to Pirates.
That's a beautiful story. Now you speak of helping Tiger's son, but you're also involved in youth football. You've coached. We'll talk a little bit about your coaching, but there's this event that you guys are planning, the Legends tournament, where you're going to try and unearth. It's you and who else? A few players, Godfrey Sapula and
it's myself, Godfrey Sapula, Joseph Makanya, and Tsepo Masilela.
Okay, so you are going to have a tournament sometime in
Yes,
August.
Around August somewhere. Legends Charity Cup. Yes, it's called Legends Charity Cup.
So what's going to happen there? Because I understand you'll all have your teams of youngsters.
Yes, what's going to happen is that the youngsters will send SMSs to say, me, I want to belong to Coach so and so. And then when we get there, we'll find those players, we train them. After training them, then play a tournament. And then the winners, they'll be afforded an opportunity to go for a trial in any of the clubs in South Africa or overseas for that matter, because we live in a digital world. So, it's an interconnected world. So if maybe someone sees it from wherever, Cambodia, wherever, Turkmenistan or something, they'll see the player, then give an opportunity, to the players that maybe they might have been missed by the mainstream football clubs and academies. That's the idea is all about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you coach. You've done your coaching badges.
Yes, I've got an A license coach.
Okay, CAF
A license, yes. Together with Phil Evans, Ricardo Katza, Ashley Makanya, Kelvin Muntlowu, Duncan Lichisa, Raymond Sineo, Francis.
You haven't coached in the PSL, but you coached in India. I mean, you are a strange one. You went to play in Malaysia.
Why
you
go to
coach
India
in
before
India.
local? Let's not go to India, because India is just something that happened just yesterday.
Yeah, but we'll go there. I mean, that stands out for me.
Oh, okay.
Because India, we think India, we think cricket, not football.
Yeah, like I said before, that football is played everywhere. It's just a perception.
That's
and again, we need to remove the wool from our eyes in South Africa to say, you know what? I mean, you'll be surprised that you find not top, but you find Nigerians there, Ghanaians there, even in Malaysia, same thing. I played against the late Stephen Keshi.
We're in Malaysia?
In Malaysia, yes. He played for Perlis. We beat them 2-1. Yes, I scored, I think, one of the goals. Because I'm lying. We lost 2-1 to that team. Yes. To Stephen Keshi's team, yes.
So he played there?
Yes.
So the India thing, it's recent. Yes, we'll go back to the other coaching. But how do you end up coaching in India?
Wow, it's an interesting story. Remember, I played for many Rangers.
Yes.
Right? And then there's a guy who used to come watch. He's a journalist. His name is Kamlesh Kosai.
I know Kamlesh.
Oh, you know Kamlesh?
He's my colleague. We work together.
Oh, okay. That's the one. That guy has got my photos, even I think dates back to Portugal, Malaysia. When he sends me stuff, I'm like, hey,
Where'd you get them from?
I don't even have them. Luckily, through you, I have them. Though I do have those photos that were taken in Malaysia, where I lifted trophies and other photos together in the club. But I have them. But he has them. Then he says to me, hey, Mandla, how are you? Good. That was 2023. Around May, June, July. What are you doing? No, man, I don't have a club. Okay, I was coaching a Mtsipe League team that was based in Vosloorus.
Okay.
FC AJ United. Okay? It was relegated. Okay. Then now, July, it's a new season. Luckily, I was also coaching where my son is attending school.
Okay.
A Holy Family College. Yes. Okay. I was coaching there since 2015 up until 2023. Okay. Right? So he asked me, what are you doing? I said, no, man, look, I've got my academy now, and I'm also coaching at the school. So myself and Tabang Stema, we formed a academy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Mundial Soccer Clinics. So that's what I'm doing. Said, okay, do you mind if I give or maybe send your name across to some people in India? Are you keen coaching in India? I'm like, football is football, man. Yes, I'll be keen. Who wouldn't want to be traveling?
Yeah, sure.
So I said, okay. 2 weeks later, I phoned. Please send me your CV. I gave him my CV. A week later, hey man, this guy says you're an A licensed coach. He wants you to send the videos of your team when you train the little ones. I sent the videos because we were doing the videos. So he took the videos. I forwarded to him. He forwarded. Later on, he says, hey, this guy, I gave him your number. He's gonna phone you direct now. You don't have to listen. Through information has to be. There mustn't be a bridge, or a mediator. Yes. Yeah. So I said, okay, cool. This guy phoned me around August. Coach, how are you? I'm Prasan, so I'm from India. I've been talking to Kamlesh. So now I want us to take the process forward. Please, can you do a visa to go to the consulate and do a visa? I said, okay, no problem. I did the visa. I waited for it. I thought I was going to go in October. So unfortunately, what happened was one of the requirements, the visa, is to do a police clearance.
Oh, okay, yes.
Right? Police clearance, and your passport shouldn't expire within the 6 months period upon your return. So I was like, okay. When I checked my passport, the last time I traveled was in 2014 to England with the future champs. So by the time I come back, my passport would have almost expired.
Okay.
So I like, okay. I had to redo passport. Now, fingerprints. Must do fingerprints, take them to Pretoria. Though I did when you work in the private schools, you do that.
You do those things.
So I'm cleared.
Yeah.
But embassy, they need the original.
Of course. Yeah.
The original. So I had to redo it. Okay. So I waited for it. And then it came around November. And then December the 14th. I didn't eat Christmas here. I didn't spend Christmas here. Yeah, I was in India in Christmas. I left on the 22nd, yes. 22nd December 2023.
And you coached there?
I was coaching there.
How long? What kind of league was it in? I mean, is it the Premier League?
Strange enough, it's not the Premier League. It's something that I was doing here back home. But I didn't know because they've got these funny names that they use. They say Kano City Football Schools.
Okay.
Do you understand? So you see Kano City Football.
Yeah.
I think it's a club, but it's a school. I think maybe it's an academy of a certain club.
Yes.
But it's an individual who's doing his own thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
But that must have been an exciting experience, just to.
Yeah. Look, you need to explore. You need to know the world.
Yeah.
Skama plus too much in South Africa, man.
How long were you there for, though?
Almost the whole year. Yeah, I came back in December. I came back the 27th of December.
This past year.
Yeah, this past December.
So what do you do now?
Now, I'm coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lady by the name of Theo is running schools in Helderfontein, Midrand. Yeah, Football Alliance.
Okay.
So that's where I just started 2 weeks ago.
So you coach kids at school?
Kids at school, yes.
How is that? I mean, coaching youngsters.
It's good, demanding, challenging, exciting at the same time, because then now you need to teach. You're not coaching, you teach. It's different. Coaching is for the higher level. There you teach you teach how to control, you teach how to pass, you teach how to...
Which is a good thing, isn't it? Because then the foundation is right. If you do it right, I mean, an A licensed coach there is very good, because then you teach them the basics. By the time they get to professional, they have that.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And remember, I can't say negative things about the current kids, but they don't play
like
a lot.
You guys used to.
Like we used to. Because school holidays, they go with their parents or they go visit someone else. Yeah. School holidays, we used to from 8 o'clock in the morning
Playing.
until
Talents, like you said.
I'm
all
a
there.
challenge all the way, all the way until 6 o'clock. By the time you go home, you're hungry. They say before you eat,
Go
bath.
bath. Yeah. And by the
You,
time
it's a torture, man. Hey, my mom is torturing me. I'm hungry.
And now she wants me to go bath.
Hey, dude. Hey.
Yeah.
So it's bad. Again, schools is the beginning of our football, or any sport for that matter, because of that's where majority of the players in South Africa, even rugby players, cricket, they are identified from.
So if we get it right there, then
If you get
we're
rugby,
sorted.
rugby, cricket, they get it right there.
And that's why we
Why
don't
not
struggle.
on the other side?
So you are very content then being in that space, because too often you are Mandla Zwane, you've achieved all that, played all national teams, you've got your licenses. Logic would say you want to coach a Pirates, you want to coach a SuperSport, but you are there at the grassroots.
Look, I guess it's a question of time and question of time and opportunity when it presents itself. Because for now it hasn't presented itself, so I just have to maybe bide my time and to wait. Because of remember, whoever is coaching there is also my colleague. I wish him all the best.
Yeah.
I don't want to wish him to be bad for me to come in. No.
Yeah.
We need to respect that trade, because of oftentimes we backstab each other.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And of which is not right, and which it brings a bad name to the
coaching fraternity.
to the coaching fraternity. Yes. Once we can have that to say, you know what, you need to respect the incumbent, then the club bosses will respect us.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Because you are so right. Because if you guys don't respect each other, they know it's Mandla. They know they'll get this one. Then we have what we have. The coach being moved this way because his friend will come in and take a job. And even in an interview, I've had it. You can go and say, but I can do better than so and so. So you've played for Pirates. You've played for SuperSport here at home. Menin Rangers is no longer there. When you watch football now, what do you make of your former teams? I mean, let's start with SuperSport. Gavin is struggling a bit. What do you think of SuperSport now?
I think it boils down to the scouting. Because remember, if I were to remind you a little bit about players that we had, or maybe the players that SuperSport had, right? Majority of them, Coach Pitso made a point that he traveled and watched players. You watch a player, see him in an uncomfortable position and in an uncomfortable position, and try and see if he can fit your style of play, right? And at the same time, I mean, right now, there's a guy, I think he's CEO of Simba, Matola, Suleimani Matola. I played with, he's a CEO of Simba right now. I had a chat with him while I was
What do you mean
India.
you played with him?
He played for
with you guys at
SuperSport.
SuperSport?
Yes. Sonny, there's a guy who was from Ghana, tall defender, he played for Platinum Stars as well, Abbas.
Yes.
Pitso flew to check and add, because of we realized that we were playing in Africa now. So in Africa, we were struggling the most with aerial balls. So scouting. And again, for SuperSport, maybe it's a question of the players that are promoted. They'll get there, but they need experienced players around them to introduce them in a better way. Like I said, you remember I told you that when I was promoted, when I went there, I even mentioned about Pitso Mosimane, Jori Bantwana, Bernard Lushozi.
You were bound to learn.
You understand?
Those,
So
yes.
now, one of the reasons why SuperSport is struggling is purely because of that.
Yeah.
There's no
The kids
senior
just come in
players,
and
they
there's
just
no
come in,
one
they're,
to-
they're
Gavin
thrown into
complains
the
of
deep end, and we expect so much from the players, and they need to transit from development into senior, and it's not easy if there's no one who's going to guide you.
Yeah.
You know, because I remember Pashin Mahlang was like, we cut in race. On Tuesday, he says, "Hey boy, ushaya magoli wami kahle kahle, ushaya ama rocket."
Yeah.
I know unzima mfana ngithi ngiyakubona mara yazini sokuseduzana ungawari when chance yakho yes. Those things, those words, when has been spoken by the person that you look up to,
They do
they
miracles.
lift you. They lift you to a point that you can go in and feel as if you've long been a professional, but you just arrive now. So I think that's where the challenge is right now at SuperSport. That yes, we do have those senior players, but not in those respectful positions.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening because of it's difficult
Yeah.
for
And
this
then-
season. But Gavin, make no mistake, he knows how to grind results. It's like Gordon Egersind.
Yeah.
They know how to grind results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Pirates, what do you make of them? I mean, it looked like they will challenge Sundowns proper, but seems like the wheels are falling off.
Look, football, it's something else. There's no therefore. It's not like mathematics.
Yeah.
This therefore is gonna no. It's dynamic, which is
Makes it a
interesting.
beautiful game it is.
Beautiful game. It's a question of depth, because at Sundowns, when you not to say Pirates don't have depth. Believe you me, Pirates got pound for pound in terms of players against Sundowns. Right? It's a question of maybe some players are not getting the game time, and whenever that opportunity comes, maybe not to say that they are not ready. They are ready, but they are 3 steps behind because of others have been playing regularly.
Yeah.
Then they've been on the bench. Sometimes they're not even part of the 18, and out of the blue, now they're thrown into the deep end, which is then now, I don't want to put some parallels, but I just want to try and draw the picture. When we watch Premiership, there's EFL Cup, Carabao Cup,
Yeah.
there's FA Cup. Majority of the players that are not making the squad, they play those games. Right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, back home, we have so many tournaments. Okay, one MTN8, okay, let's put it aside. We have Carling Cup now, which would replace your
Telcoms and
yes. We have Carling Cup, we have Nedbank, and we have the league. Right? So all of these games, they don't start maybe concurrently with the league.
Yeah.
Do you understand? It's only top 8 that
Yeah.
in top 8 because of this tournament they start around October.
Yeah.
There's so many games that have been played in between. So, and as a coach, you don't tamper with the winning team a lot, which then now says those guys who are not
Not going
regulars.
to get a chance to play. But
And
also
then
it's-
now the expectations. Remember, Pirates, Chiefs, Sundowns. Expectations are high. There's no friendly game.
No.
no
That's the
friendly game.
challenge, yeah.
That's the challenge because then now you would expect to say, okay, Carling Cup. Okay, planning to say what's the target? What are the objectives for the season?
Yeah.
To say, okay, because Carling Cup comes after MTN8. Look at your squad. And prioritize
Yes.
certain games. Now there's Africa.
You see?
Yes, they do plan, but unfortunately on the day, sometimes players, like I said, they may be lack of game time. So they lack that match fitness and, the team cohesion and understanding. So that could be those factors that maybe
come into play.
come into play.
I get that.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, as you say, it's in South Africa, they want to win it all. So if you want to win it all, you're going to use your best teams. You touched a little bit on Africa. Let's finally, Pirates are in the Champions League quarterfinals. It's 30 years since they won the cup, 1995. I said I'm not superstitious, but I sometimes look at things. and I'm
Okay,
like, this will
2025,
happen.
95.
Can they win it?
Why not? Yes, they can.
But can they? I mean, so you're speaking as a fan here. Yes, you want them to, but I'm saying when you look at what's happening, they're in the quarterfinals. Everybody thinks Maloudia, Alger are not they got the easiest of draws compared
Yeah.
to the rest. They couldn't, they were never going to play Al Ahly
Yeah.
because they were in the same group.
Yeah.
But when you look at these Pirates and when you look at continental football, do you think they can win it?
Look, I'm talking as a player right now.
Okay.
I'm removing the coaching side of
Yeah.
things. I'm talking as a player right now. You know, when you play for Pirates, there are so many incentives behind national team, international scouts, and the list goes on. So, luckily, because of Pirates is used to cup competition as well. They know how to play cup competition. I think the coach now, he's got a team now that whenever he's sleeping, he knows that who are my guaranteed 11 or my guaranteed 14 or 15 for that matter, that at any given moment, whoever that I bring in will change the game for the team. So I think they can, because of it's a tournament. Remember, now it's tournament time.
Yes.
It's no longer like the league format. So you'll go for broke.
They know
They have to go for broke. There's no two ways about it. And again, I'm talking as a supporter now to say we want it. We want
You
it.
want to add the second star before Sundowns do, I'm sure.
Of course. We were the first ones
First
to.
ones.
Yeah, we were the first one to bring the star in South Africa.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, Mandla, thank you so much. I really appreciate you making time
Yeah.
for me here.
Yeah. So one thing. I heard you talk about coaching. I was coaching University of Johannesburg. Remember?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yes. And there, I've got players that I coached. One is in America. He plays for FC Dallas.
Okay.
2 players are in Poland. Avumile Mkoseli. Spusiso.
Yeah, sure.
Then I've got Ugiven Msimangu, who's at Kaizer
The one
Chiefs.
at Chiefs.
Yeah, the one at Chiefs, yes.
So you coached him at
At
UJ?
UJ, yes. 3 players at Sikukune. Siko Sonkelanga, he was signed from Tax. Sean Mohaela and Mpora Mala. I've got player in Kazrik, Lesehosi Betlela. That boy won trophy. He promoted teams La Masia from
Oh, yeah, no, Lamas.
Zippe League
Yeah.
to NFD.
It's not
He's
good.
now on the
Yeah.
verge of trying another one, promoting Kazrik into PSL.
PSL.
Yeah, and I've got
So that must please you. I mean, to because as coaches, if you don't win trophies, especially at that level, to see these kids going into the higher level, it must be
even
fulfilling.
Mbunjana from TS Galaxy, I coached him just for a short brief. But, there's quite a number of them. The list is endless. It's just that I forget names.
Yeah,
Others
but
were signed by Coach Dalenke, Sihlem Bell, and Pelani Mvelase from Swallows. There's too many players that I coach that are playing PSL. Others are playing NFD and Zippe League. So there's
But
a lot.
it is fulfilling, isn't it?
Very much so. Very much so. Very much so.
Now, I'm very happy for you, and thank you so much for making time. Because as I say, you are Mandla Zwane, you played, but I just keep thinking, this guy played at Porto, guys. He played under Bobby Robson. You played in Malaysia. You went there. You played for all the national teams, but I think because of your nature, people. I don't want to say they don't rate you, but do you understand what I'm saying? But it's, as I said to you earlier, there's something about you, Zwanes. I've never met an arrogant or pompous Zwane. There's this, Arthur Zwane, Eugene Zwane, Japheth Zwane. You all are very mellow. So let's give you your flowers while you still
Thank you very much for those accolades. It really humbles me and it humbles the Zwane clan. I hope that they also heard your words, and of which it's about time that, because football has been tainted for all the wrong reasons, and there are good people out there who are not,
football people.
But I'm really humbled. And wish you all the best in whatever that you do, and then looking forward to your interview again. I don't know when, but whenever like opportunity presents itself, I'm just a phone call away.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much for making time. This was Blast from the Past, and as I say, my favorite show of the week. It was lovely being with Mandla, and let's meet again in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Listen to
This is a brave man.
Inside SA Soccer with Brad Jakes, exclusive to OmniSport, where Africa comes to play.
Now that's a garage match.
Listen live now and on demand at omniaudio.africa.